What is up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. It is time for roster review update number 10, and holy crap, it was a banger. We knew it could be with the extra week, and they did not disappoint. 6 new diamonds, a bunch of new golds. We got a lot to get into, so let's just get started. We go position by position. We do this every other, well, I guess it was a third week, but every roster update that has upgrades, we cover it on twitch.tv/spore. We have one more for the regular season and then the one after the playoffs. So still plenty of time to come out and join. If you're watching this on Friday evening, I'm still streaming almost certainly. So twitch.tv/spore, come through. Let's get into it. Max Scherzer gets another couple of points as he deserves. We get Corbin Burnes up to 90. I didn't even think about this, but someone in my Twitch chat made a great point. When we get new guys up to 90, it's actually bad because now you have less of an opportunity to get Trout on your 90 plus pack. I didn't even think about that. I'm like rooting for Matt Olson and Vlad before he got there and Burnes. I'm rooting for all these guys to get to 90, and it actually hurts us. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but Burnes definitely deserved it. You see Woodruff takes a little hit, but then Peralta goes up. These 3 studs, by the way, they're going to drive Milwaukee as far as they can this year. They've been amazing. We got Wheeler +1, but then the big one, this one had to come through. We knew it was coming. This was as locked as lock gets. Thought he would get it last time, but then he just put up 3 more brilliant weeks. Robbie rated diamond, needed it. We got it. It's locked. Bueller gets Nooch, no big deal. He's already diamond. We're not too worried about that. We're not going to dive into too much stuff that doesn't affect the market right now. So some of these diamond to diamond dips or gains or Nooches, we don't care. Joe Musgrove goes. Finally, some of y'all probably got out, and I hope you didn't. I know it's hard to be patient, but when somebody is like having a great year and everything backs up what they're doing, which is what Musgrove was doing. I mean, he's having a full breakout year with high quality skills. He was just excellent. You have to stay patient, and it's easier said than done. But now that we're at the end of the road, if you made it, well done on the patience. If you got out, hopefully you didn't take too much of a hit, and maybe you took a profit. That's the thing too. You can get out on a position and still take a profit because it's much higher than when you bought it, right? We were actually talking about that with CJ Cron, which I'll get into at first base about where he's maneuvering and what could happen with him down the line. But again, we'll talk about that at first base. Julio Urias gets 2 points. He could go diamond for sure, and he's going to get both updates because they're going to the playoffs. So keep that in mind too when you're investing for the future. If you're investing in a team that is totally out of it, then they only have one more update. If you're investing in a fringe team like a San Diego, not that you would get Darvish shares, that would be insane. But if you're investing in a team like a San Diego or like a Philly, you don't know. It might only get the one more update, so you got to be careful there. I guess even Atlanta's not guaranteed. I'm pretty sure that they're going to make the playoffs, though. I think that's a pretty stable point for them that they're going to make it, so Charlie Morton should have 2 more updates. But anyway, Darvish gets hit. He deserved it. He's been a nightmare. I still don't know if it's because of the crackdown or not. His numbers line up perfectly with the fall off being when the crackdown started happening on sticky stuff, but a lot of his core skills are still really strong. So you have to be careful with the correlation versus causation argument there on Darvish. All I know is that if I had him on any fantasy teams right now, I'm actually putting him on my bench. I would not be using him. He's getting trounced every 5th day, and you just can't have that right now. Charlie Morton gets +1. Like I said, he could go diamond. Definitely keep an eye on him. Same with Nola. John means business, but he doesn't mean diamond business, so no need to be holding him. Trevor Rogers is pretty much close to shut down at this point. I don't think you need to worry about him anymore the rest of the year. His teammate, though, Sandy Alcantara, does go up. He deserved it this time, okay? I made mention about how when he went up the last time, he didn't really deserve it. I didn't think when he went with Lopez and Rogers, I thought they just kind of wanted to put all 3 of them together. So he lost it, and then he got it back here. This is much more deserving. His strikeout rate has surged. As you can see, he's almost at a strikeout per inning now, which he was well below that for a while. His second half has been electric. That Miami Marlins rotation next year is going to be silly. If they get any hitting, watch out, NL East. You're in some trouble. Barrios gets Nooch. Wayno goes gold. Let's give it up for Wayno. What a freaking season he's had, man. I guess unless you're an NL Central fan, that doesn't like the Cardinals, I think anything outside of that, you got to be happy with what he's doing. He's easy to root for. He's a great dude. He's like 40 having this great season, and he's just going out there getting it done, going like 7-8 innings a pop. It's like, again, unless you have a rooting interest against the Cardinals, I don't know how you can't like this. So good job on Waino. He's an absolute stud. Speaking of absolute studs, on the other end of the age spectrum is Alek Manoah. What a freaking beast this guy has been. No innings limit for this young buck. They're letting him go. They need him. Obviously, they're trying to make a playoff spot. When you got Ray, Barrios, Manoah as your top three, that puts Hyun-Jin Ryu off to the side a little bit, and he's been struggling, and that hasn't hurt them because the other three guys have stepped up so much that he's basically their number 4. So Manoah goes gold here. I don't think he can get to diamond. I mean, he'd have to be pretty obscene during the playoffs. I'm talking like a World Series run where he's their ace. So you don't have to worry about investing in him beyond this. But if you've been investing in him for a while now, he paid big dividends today. I know I got in at a few different spots where I had over 100 of him, and it paid off nicely. Max Fried, I know we thought he might get there last time. He didn't quite make the grade. Boom, we get the gold this time around. And he joins teammate Huascar Ynoa, who could have gotten here months ago and might even be knocking on the door of diamond if he wasn't a dumbass. If you don't recall, he broke his hand punching a wall. Walls are undefeated. They have 0 losses against people's hands. Even when you punch a hole through the wall, you still lost. So don't make no mistake about it. Walls are undefeated. He got mad, punched a wall, derailed this season, but he's come back right as strong as he was when he got hurt, and he goes gold here. Nathan Eovaldi, I know this one probably took a while for some of y'all when you look at how well he's pitched versus him staying silver, but he's a great example of the disconnect between like ERA and the skills in MLB The Show. You can have a great ERA, but if your skills that they care about, hits, Ks, and walks, aren't that great, then you're not necessarily going to go gold. And he was tracking with a great ERA pretty much all year. He finally dialed up the strikeouts, and unsurprisingly, that's when he finally goes gold. So big ups to Eovaldi there. He pays off, and if you've been investing in him for a while, you could have 200-300 of them at this point if you were patient enough to keep going. Desclafani gets hit, but not out of gold. Ranger Suarez, let's go. I'm really excited about this one. I still remember when I saw, because I picked him up in fantasy because he was their closer. And when I saw that they were going to put him in at starter, I was like, what the absolute hell are the Phillies doing? I don't understand. That is absolutely insane. And that's why I'm a giant dork just talking baseball on the internet, and the people in the front office are the people in the front office because they know their players better. He's been a god as a starter. Like, he's been so freaking good. I thought he would get there last time, and he didn't quite get there, and I was a little bummed by that. I was like, man, I really think he's done well enough to actually push all the way into gold. Didn't quite make the grade. They added the stamina. They've added the requisite ratings that he needed. His hit 9 goes down a little bit. The clutch is actually what did a lot of damage here. +5 made it so that he slam dunks into gold. It looks like they did a lot of clutch updates. And for those that don't know, that is your runners in scoring position OPS. So when there's men on second or third, or second and third, and then what your OPS is as a hitter or a pitcher, that's what drives the clutch rating. And it's going to be very key for somebody in the outfield that unfortunately did not get to the level that we were hoping because his clutch rating is quite bad. McCullers gets to gold. This was another one where you had to have patience, and it was tough because there were a couple different opportunities where it looked like he could go gold, and he didn't quite get there, and it's like, oh my God, do I sell? Because he's been a volatile pitcher in his past, but if you stuck with it, it paid off. Lance McCullers to gold. I know I had Frankie Montas going up to gold. He doesn't quite get there. I'm not moving. I'm not moving at all. In fact, I'm going to invest more. He's been pitching brilliantly. I know that the freaking Royals of all teams ripped him. I don't remember. Was that on Tuesday? That one might have counted. And if it did, then it totally fucked us. But either way, I expect him to get back on track. Now, this is a cusp player, right? Because they might not make the playoffs. And if not, then he only has the one more update. September 14th, that was on Tuesday, yeah. So I got to be honest, that might have done it. The Tuesday start might have screwed us over. I don't think so based on the updates here versus what he did in that game. So I don't think so. I just think this is a pretty healthy update. If you tell me that he was going to get 3, 3, 4, 1, and then only -1 on the BB9, I would have said that that would be enough to go 2 points. But it turns out he was probably a low 78, like he was just into the 78 range. So he needed a little bit more robust of an update to go gold. So it's all right. I'm going to stick with him. I hope that the A's can make the playoffs just so that he gets more opportunity. But hopefully the next 2-3 starts, he can get back on track after getting beat up by the Royals and finish gold for us. Tristan McKenzie goes up to a 79. Now, there were a few guys that I had that were going to go 76 to 80. Neither of them made it. I did have McKenzie going 76 to 79 or to 78. So he's setting himself up to finish gold. Now, they're not going to the playoffs, so he has to get it done here in the next few starts. But if he continues to limit walks, I think that will be his avenue for getting there. You see, he got a +6 there. This is a very, very good update to get him right on the door of gold. So keep a very close eye on McKenzie. I definitely think he's somebody you can continue to invest in. Marquez gets nooched, and that's just a bummer. And they have a road series against Washington this weekend. Or no, is it Washington? I think it's Washington. Someone can correct me in chat if it's not Washington. But they have a road series against Washington. Then they go home. That's good for their hitters, but not always so good for their pitchers. So be careful here with Marquez if you're staying invested, because we know that Coors, like those aforementioned walls, is undefeated when it comes to beating up pitchers. Dylan Cease gets nooched, and that's a toughie, man. I really thought Dylan Cease was going to go gold this time around. He'd been pitching so well. His strikeout rate was through the roof this period, and as was his hit line well, when I say that about your hit line, that I mean that in that it was low. To say it's through the roof would mean that it was high. So that's not really the right phrase to use. I mean that it was good, okay? But the K9 was 16.5 this period. So I thought that would get updated. I thought the hit 9 would get updated, and it would help counter the walks per 9 going down, which I knew it would because he had 6.6 walks per 9, which is really terrible. It was not enough because they did not upgrade the hits per 9. It's fine. They're going to make the playoffs, so he is going to get 2 more updates. It's a little bit of a fringe one for one main reason. Because he's a young guy, I do worry if he's going to hit the wall at all with all the innings piling up, and then a couple bad starts could really derail us. That said, I'm not going to leave my Cease position in terms of the ones I have invested. I'm going to keep. I don't know if I'm going to buy more, but I'm definitely going to hold what I have of Cease. Kluber loses gold. He's been a nightmare since returning. Taillon goes down 1 and is currently on the IL. Stroman nooched. Sonny Gray +1. Okay, so he did go up 1. I thought, for some reason, I thought he was, I thought he went to 76. I misread that earlier. I actually had him going gold. I thought he was a sneaky gold candidate. That -2 on the Ks is kind of tough. And again, 3 points was heavy. And this is a pretty good update with the +2, +4, +3. But then the -2 definitely hurts it. If that wasn't there, he still would have only gone to like 79, though. I don't think that was why he didn't go gold. They just didn't see him as a gold candidate. That's why he was toward the end of my gold rankings. Manaea gets nooched. Blake Snell gets +2. It was robust. I thought 4, I thought 4 was possible. That's why I put him as a gold. I don't put things that I don't think can actually happen. But maybe part of it is just my homerism towards Snell. He was pitching brilliantly, too. The injury has nothing to do with it. I think there's a misconception in the community that, this guy went on the IL, he's not going to get updated. It has nothing to do with that. That's going to affect the future, but the work that they put up already is not impacted by an IL stint. So this is a pretty nice update. It only nets +2, and that's okay. Kikuchi gets nooched. So does Gilbert. Frankly, they're lucky to get that too, because if his clutch didn't go up, he would have gone down 1 or 2, because that's a pretty big hit to the hit 9 and the BB9. Same with Gilbert, and this is what I talk about with Cease, about hitting that kind of rookie wall. Now Cease is not. I don't believe Cease is a rookie. I know he's pitched before this year, but I don't think he even has rookie eligibility this year. Yeah, he's well into it. He pitched 73 innings in 19. 58 innings last year, but there is still kind of the rookie wall in that this is his first full major league season of putting up 30 plus starts, and that's why it can definitely hit him. And Gilbert definitely hit that rookie wall in August, but he's come out of it on the other end. He's been great in September. Problem is, he's only going to get the next update, and that's it, because they're obviously, well, I shouldn't say obviously. They could streak to the playoffs. Do I think they're going to? No. So I would invest in Gilbert, thinking for one update, if you like him. I'm not saying to automatically invest in him, by the way. I'm saying if you like him, know that you're only getting one more update. Tanner Houck, I like him. I can't recommend investing in him, though, because he just gets so limited with his innings. They just treat him as like a 3 to 5 inning guy. They never really let him go, and I think that's just going to stifle him a bit. Logan Webb was the other guy I had going 76 to 80, and this is a very, very strong update. So the fact of it is that 4 points was just going to be too hard, and it was too robust of a prediction for me, and so I got that one wrong, because this is very healthy. I have no issues with anything that they updated here. It just wasn't enough to push as high as I thought it was. That said, Logan Webb is one of my favorite hold for gold starters right now. The dude has been brilliant. They're going to the playoffs, and I love everything about him. So I think I have about 100 of them now, and I'm going to get more. Whoops, wrong thing. Wrong button. Where are we at? Oh, yeah, there we go. Logan Webb. Now, Taijuan Walker down. Skubal +1. Skubal and Mize, in fact, they're both right here. They're back on innings limits where they're throwing like 3-4 innings a pop. So they're not going to get upgraded anymore. And if they do, it would be like 78, 79. There's no gold opportunity for them. Great seasons for both. As a Tigers fan, I'm really thrilled, but nothing to invest in. Greinke goes down. Ian Anderson goes down. Now, this is one I've talked about patience with guys. If you've got a lot of patience, you can stick with your Ian Anderson investments. I know some of y'all been in on Ian Anderson since before he was injured, like literally months upon months ago. Chambers, I'm looking at you. It's up to you right now. I've already moved off of mine a bunch. I sold a bunch at prices that were higher than what I paid for, so I took a few stubs. But I might still have a couple, but it's not somebody that I'm really trying to jump in on more, because first off, it was the injury, but then since coming back, his strikeout rate has just been underwhelming. And he's had a few dud starts as well. Like, his last outing was good, 5 innings, 9 strikeouts against Miami, but only 5 innings. And that was 89 pitches because they worked his pitch count up. That's what happens when you strike out a bunch of guys. He got hit up in Colorado, which we're not going to hold against him. That's Colorado. But then the first start back off the IL was against San Francisco, one of the toughest teams in the league. He throws 5 2/3 scoreless. That's excellent. 0 strikeouts. So that's the tough part right now, is that we have 2 0 strikeout games and then a 9 strikeout game. He is going to get the 2 updates because, again, they have a great shot to go to the playoffs, so I think he's likely to get the 2 upgrades, I should say. They're not guaranteed, but I'm betting on them to go to the playoffs if I have to pick. But I'd be careful here. If you can get out at even or a profit of any sort, I would take that opportunity with Ian Anderson, personally. Reynaldo Lopez gets a hell of an upgrade. He's so lucky that the roster update locked before yesterday's nightmare start. Now, he was going to get something regardless, because you see he was a 72. So he'd have gone up to a 74, 75, even if they had counted yesterday's start, but he got freaking trounced. I love Reynaldo Lopez. I'm a total sucker for him. And when I found out that he got his eyes fixed, and that was a big issue that he was having, I was like, well, now he's going to be a god. And then, of course, he promptly goes out and gets wrecked by the freaking Angels. But great update for him. He deserved most of it. Obviously, that most recent shit start will count toward the next update, so be careful there. Plus, I don't really see him as a hold for gold anyway. Paddock gets nooshed. Ryu, I was talking about him earlier, gets -1. He has not been pitching that well. Plesac down. Gray nooshed. Matt's back to silver? I want to say back to silver, because he started off the season really well, but then had a big lull, and now he's been back pitching well. In fact, he's actually been pitching better than Ryu. Ryu's kind of their 5th, which tells you how good their pitching has become, because Ryu was their far and away ace and like the only good starter they had coming into the year. So things have really turned for Toronto. Gonsolin nooched. You see what happened to his control. he's just not right. His best asset coming into the year was his ability to control the zone, and he just hasn't had it. He's had injuries. He's just had a washout kind of year. Tyler Miguel gets +3. Now, this is another guy who's lucky that the update closed before yesterday because the Cardinals absolutely trucked him for like 5 runs in the first inning and completely ruined that start. Hopefully y'all didn't start that one in fantasy because that's a rough one. Zach Gallen goes down 1. He might even lose silver by the end of the year if he's not careful. I think he gets the Dodgers. No, he gets Houston this weekend. That's not fun. Quantrill goes silver. That's my boy. Big Cal Quantrill fan in real life, like at fantasy and all of that. But he finally goes up to silver. I shouldn't say finally. He didn't. This is another guy who has had a great ERA for most of the year, but stayed in bronze because his skills weren't really matching the high-quality ERA. And even now, you can tell. You see 110 strikeouts in 137 innings. He's got a bad K9. He's finally starting to get a little bit going there. If it wasn't for this clutch rating, he might not have even gone to silver this time around. So good on him getting boosted. I don't really see gold upside right now because he's 5 points away, and they're not going to make the playoffs. So obviously, nobody that's 75, 76 right now, unless their team is guaranteed for the playoffs, you can't invest in them for hold for gold. Eduardo, Nuched, Bummer down. Miley down 1. Miley, man, what are you doing? You're pulling 2019 again. Remember 2019 when he was freaking awesome with the Astros for 5 months? Then September comes around, he's like, just shits all over the joint. He's doing that again. Hopefully he doesn't kill too many fantasy teams. Tyler Anderson, Nuched, Mike Minor up 1. Eric Lauer up 2. I thought Eric Lauer would go silver, man. He's been pitching really, really well for them. As if they need another good starter in Milwaukee. Eric Lauer has been a god. Look at that. 2.92 ERA, 113 whip in just over 100 innings. That's really good. I'm kind of surprised that they downed his K9 because I thought, well, actually, no. I guess that does check out. I think a strikeout per inning for a starter is right around a 60. So, or I guess a 62, 63 might be a K per inning because he's at 99 and 101 2/3, and they lowered him to a 60. Nick Pivetta gets Nuched, Luis Castillo. Man, there was a time when I thought he was going to get all the way back to gold, and he just hit another bump. So we're out on him. Drew Rasmussen gets the big boost because he moves over to SP. That's what drove this jump here. He's been pitching well, but he's only like a 3 to 5 inning type of guy for the Rays right now. Patino loses, volatile young arm. Rich Hill, good old Dick Mountain, Nuched. Colby Allard, Nuched. Nothing really to see here. Taylor Hearn gets the position change, and he's been pitching well, so he gets a very healthy upgrade. Chris flexing on him, gets +2. Yarbrough -1. Yarbrough should probably lose more than 1, dude. Like, he has been awful lately. Dobnek, that's just a position change. Kyle Hendricks, speaking of awful. Carlos Hernandez gets a healthy boost. He's been pitching pretty well. He got beat up his last time out against Oakland, but for the most part this year, he's been really strong. So he was due a big upgrade. +1 for Hauser, +4 for Tyler Alexander. It's only the position change, though. Suarez up, Irvin down, Jack's up, Lyle's up. Wait, was Jack's up? Yeah, Jack's up. Joe Ryan, +11. Let's go. This was a micro investment that I had on my sheet, and I undersold him. I had him going up to a 65, and I thought that was big dog move. They said, no, we're going to put him up to a 69, which is very nice. His trade-in value, if anything else, skyrockets here. If you bought a bunch at single-digit stubs and you haven't done the AL Central Team Affinity exchanges yet, I mean, the earnings that he got moving that many points is just insane for the price that he was. Or actually, wait. Take all that back. I'm sorry. He was a newer card. He actually wasn't cheap. He was not cheap. I forgot. Because he was one of the newer cards, and those new commons come in super expensive. He was tracking like 400/150. So no, he actually did not get a big investment there with the micro investors. So pardon me on that one. Corbin Nuched, Senzatella +2. He's been actually pitching pretty well for Colorado, but he doesn't have great skills for MLB The Show. Luzardo gets +1. That's really the stamina being driven up. And I guess the hit 9 a little bit, but he's still been pretty bad. Steele, Nuched, Freeland, Keuchel. Keuchel should lose more, dude. My God, how bad is he? I'm going to go so far as to say that he should not make their playoff roster. What does he add for them? What does he give? I like Dallas Keuchel, but my God, has he been bad. Keller down, Woodford, Ramon, Rosso. I do not know who that guy is. Nothing really to see here. Alex Wells, Taylor Saucedo. Yeah, that's all we got there. Any new guys? Sampson, Pepio, Salmons, and Josh Rogers. This Josh Rogers actually pitched really well against Miami the other day, which it's Miami, but hats off to him. Nick Anderson just moved from closer. Kimbrel down 1. Graveman down 1. Graveman could still get diamond. If you're still holding out for that, I'd probably just hold because they're making the playoffs. So he's 2 points away. It won't take much, but you just got to be patient. I know some of y'all were really bugging out on this one, like, oh, he has one bad outing and he gets hit. The thing of it is, in this update period, he had 4 walks in 5 2/3 innings. And this is a great microcosm of the volatility of investing in relievers for MLB The Show. Is because one bad outing can completely screw them, and it's really painful. And that's exactly what happened here. He didn't have all 4 walks in one outing, but a 2-walk outing in 2/3 of an inning is really tough. It's really tough. So yeah, 4 walks in 5 2/3. Now, he did have 11 strikeouts, and I know he has a 103 K9, but he has 14.4 K9 for the year. They could have moved that up a little bit and made sure that he was at least nooched, but that's neither here nor there. Fact of it is, if he doesn't walk anybody like the rest of the year, and it doesn't have to literally be nobody, I'm not saying 0 walks, but if he keeps the walk rate very low the rest of the year and in through the playoffs, he can still get diamond. It just depends where you're at with your patience, because it is 3 points away. What I would really want to see if I was going to hold is a point or 2 with the last roster update of the regular season, and then have to hold him to try to get 1, maybe 2 points for the playoffs. But if he needs all 3 points going into October, I'd probably sell out at that point. Blake Trinan gets there. He's just quietly been doing his thing. I actually thought the walk rate was going to drive this update for him, but it was actually hits per 9 and clutch. Now, I didn't know they were going to do a big clutch update. This is one of those stats. It's like a secondary stat that they don't always do, but it looks like they did a big sweep of clutch, which I'm cool with. I just didn't necessarily go looking at everybody's clutch rating. Again, that's their runners in scoring position, OPS, because I didn't know. But either way, I had Trinan, so we're all good. We're all good there. It's just one of those things where if I had to show my work, I would have been wrong, because I said the BB9 was going to drive it, and it looks like the clutch and the hit 9 were bigger factors than the BB9. Chad Green goes down big, including a huge clutch rating hit. Kopech gets nooched. Karinchak's in the minors, unless he was called back up. But either way, that's crazy. Stammen gets nooched. Daniel Hudson up 1. These guys could be interesting if the Padres make the playoffs, because I think they'll both be instrumental to any potential success that they would have. That said, I would not preemptively invest in them unless they were at like quick sell price, so where you can't get hurt. 3 downgrades that don't really matter. Lucas Sims goes up. Oh, he had 43 stamina. I guess he's been back down to 1 inning per. His clutch gets hella boosted. Steckenrider goes way up. He probably should. This wouldn't have changed anything, but he probably should have gone to CP. He's their closer at this point, so I don't know why he's not there. Alex Reyes, position change. That's all. Stanek back to silver. Diekman down. He's quietly been struggling a bit. 130 whip is pretty ugly. Tyler Wells. Are Tyler Wells and Alex Wells related on the Orioles? Doesn't matter. Johnny Lasagna goes back up to silver. Love to see that. One of my favorite relief pitchers in the game. He's a beast. Trevor Richards +3. Again, it's kind of a theme right now in the pitchers is Toronto making their pitching this year and turning it into a strength. Trevor Richards has been instrumental in that. The big issue, even when the starters started to kind of emerge, the big issue after that was getting the ball to Romano. Well, first off, he was hurt for a while, so they had nobody to really turn to in the 9th. But then the bridge was the problem. Trevor Richards has gone a long way to strengthening that bridge to Romano. Garcia and Bender go up a little bit. I mean, they could get silver, but I don't know that we're really investing in either of them. Alzolay just loses points from his position change. Coonrod goes up 1, Stomont 2, Neris, Miza, a couple points each. Brothers gets snooched. Bigford gets a nice little 4-point boost. We actually talked about him 2 updates ago. I don't think he got anything. I don't remember, to be honest. Oh, no. I think he went from common to bronze, and then this update he goes up more. He's been a reclamation project for the Dodgers. They've done an excellent job with him, and he's up now to a 72. He's not a terrible silver investment for season's end, or for the playoffs end, like 2 updates, because obviously they're going to make the playoffs, so he's going to get the 2 opportunities. Could be kind of interesting. Zach Thompson gets completely rearranged. He's a reliever now. Trevino down. He's been really hurting. That Chafin's like the only reliable reliever in Oakland right now. That's part of why they're struggling so much. Cisnero down. Heaney. Gross. Alcala +3. Detweiler. Nothing really to see here. David Price goes back to the bullpen and gets a little hit. Ottavino. Remember when he was pitching well for a bit there? His walks are just too high. I don't think he'd strike out Babe Ruth at this point. Zach Littell goes up. I had Littell on my sheet going from a 65 to a 68. Nailed it. Those are the ones I care about most. My bronze to bronze updates. Those are the ones that really show that I know. I'm just kidding. I do like when I get those right, but I'm just kidding about how much they matter. Nobody really to see here because, again, we're not, with so few updates, it's not like, oh, get in on Brooks Raley now. He could go silver. So I don't even know that we'll go over him. I'll just look. But if anybody jumps out that I think is worth talking about, I'll say something. But otherwise, we're just kind of speeding through these guys. Any new guys that are notable? Not really. Oh, AJ Lexi. I'm surprised he came in so low. First off, why isn't he a starter? Well, okay, hang on. Let me backtrack a little bit on that. He is being used as a bulk reliever now. So he's getting an opener and then he throws like 4 or 5 innings in the middle. So I guess technically, but that only happened once. His other 2 outings were starts. So I think they should have at least brought him in as a starter. And then if he continues to do the follower thing, then they could move him to reliever next update. More to the point, though, I think they kind of did him a little dirty. Actually, I'm looking at it. Maybe not. I would have put the hit 9 a little bit higher. Somewhere in the high 50s. That's it. But that's a nitpick. We're not going to get bogged down in what a 57's opening rating is. I'm sorry. We don't need to worry about that too much. Giovanni Gallegos has frustrated me all year. AJ Lexi did get a tops now though too. So if you really want to use a good AJ Lexi, it is out there. Tepera gets +1. He's not their closer. Does he have any saves for them? I don't understand this. Hendricks is I know Hendricks is the closer, but why would Tepera not just be an RP? Why would they have to have 2 closers? And if you were going to have a second closer listed on the team, wouldn't it be Kimbrel? Now, this affects nothing. This is semantics that I'm getting into because this is the kind of shit that I get bogged down in because I'm a giant dweeb. But he has 1 save that he got in the 11th inning of a game. This just doesn't make sense. And it doesn't matter. I promise you, I should spend 0 time on this. It's just slightly annoying. That's all. That's all. I just think, as Kyle puts in the chat, some of the RP, SP, CP changes are a little weird. They just don't track. But it doesn't change ratings the way going from reliever to starter does. That is a big deal. Seawald loses 1 because he gave up a bunch of homers this period, so it was necessary. Kenley back to gold. He was quietly doing his thing, so we had him on the gold sheet. Presley down. Remember when people thought Presley might chase down Diamond? He hasn't been bad. He's just kind of stabilized as is. McGee loses gold. Kittredge is inching and inching. I'm sticking with Kittredge. In fact, he's a premier hold for gold as far as I'm concerned. I'm buying more. I would have said buy more on Bednar, hold for gold, but he just hit the IL, and I believe he's essentially done for the year. I had him at 76 to 79 with like a could he get gold question in my notes, and now the answer is unfortunately going to be no. So if you were holding David Bednar, go ahead and sell. The injury is pretty much going to end his season, and of course they're not going to make the playoffs, so I don't think there's any reason to still be in on Bednar, unfortunately. Chafin is an interesting one. If they make the playoffs, I think he could finish the season at gold. He doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. He's a big ground ball filth guy, so that's the tough part. But as you can see, he's now knocking on the door. Hey, Emmanuel Clase finally got silver. I had him going up to just a 75 here because I had him silver last update and he didn't get it. So this one I played it a little cautiously and I was like, I don't know. I'm just going to put him right at 75. But they gave him a nice healthy boost because that clutch rating got a nice jump. So did the walks and the hits. Well deserved. I still don't think he's going to get gold though because he only gets one more update. And unless he strikes out like 2 batters per outing the rest of the way and really amps up his Ks, I just don't think we're going to get gold out of Clase. This is another guy who has a huge disconnect between looking at him and watching him pitch and being like, this guy's a fucking monster versus his MLB The Show ratings. Because when you watch him pitch or even just look at his 1.44 ERA, you're like, how's he not a gold? Well, the things that they care about to, the core skills, namely the strikeouts, just aren't that good for him. So I understand why it took a while to get him to silver. I do think he should have been silver last update, but we got there, so it's all good. All's well that ends well, Jordan Romano goes up +2. Now he's knocking on the door of gold. If they go to the playoffs, I really like him as a hold for gold. So you might need to get in now while the getting's good. But if Toronto makes the playoffs, then I really, really like Romano. He could still get it on the next roster update, but of course the playoffs would give him that extra opportunity. Whistler position change, Melanson down, Cody Hoyer +3. Remember how good he was last year? I think the Cubs are desperately hoping that White Sox version from last year can come back because he was a monster and he could be a badass closer for them in the future if he finds that form again. Stratton down, Finnegan up. I think I had Finnegan for a big update like 3 updates ago, so better late than never, I guess. Estevez position change to closer, Newberry and Ronnie Garcia. Who cares? All right, catcher, no new catchers. Grandisi. This one, I said Ray was the lock of all locks. This was the premier. This was the one I would have staked anything on going diamond. There was never a doubt. He's been out of his fucking gourd this update period. If he didn't go diamond, I seriously would have thrown up my hands and said, I'm done with this. Like that's how locked he was for me. I would have said, I just don't understand what they're doing, so I quit. But I didn't have to be a little baby and quit because they got him to diamond as they should have. Posey down 1, that's fine. Sal Perez +1. Dude, how dumb is Sal Perez's finest going to be this year? I know he already has like 42 diamond cards, but you know that they're going to sauce him a little finest. And that finest card last year was absolutely pornographic. So we are going to get another one, and it's going to be sexy. Will Smith knocking on the door, and the big reason why is because he started hitting lefties, and you can see he got a fat couple of +15s there, and they're going to the playoffs, so he becomes a really interesting guy. If he continues to have success against lefties, he doesn't have to keep putting up a what did he have? Let me do the math here real quick. I'm bad at math in my head because I'm stupid and old, so I have to do it on the calculator. Yeah, he had a 1468 OPS against lefties this last update period. I don't think he needs to maintain that level, but as long as he keeps a balance of doing well against righties and lefties, Will Smith becomes a very intriguing destined for diamond. So get your investments in now. I love Big Z. I don't know that he can get diamond. I don't think so. And the main reason is because that 12 contact versus righties is just going to hold him back. I just don't think he can overcome that for another 2 points. The only thing I could maybe see would be if he just started walking a shit ton, like had, I don't know, like a 20% walk rate from here till the end of the year, which is insane. Like that would be nuts. So I'm coming up with outlandish scenarios because that's what it's going to take. In addition to that, he would also have to throw out like 10 guys between now and the end of the playoffs to get the arm boosted. It'd have to be something like that. Because I just don't know how you overcome the 12 contact versus righties otherwise. But the fact that he's an 83 is super impressive. I want to say he started the year as a bronze, And it's been fun to watch. I always have, there's a big meme about Zunino in my channel because I don't like the real life player. For sports reasons only. I have nothing against him as a person. It's totally meme based. But in MLB The Show, he's one of my absolute favorite players. So I have this total disconnect between despising him as a real life player because he cost me money in a bet with my friend and loving every single card that they put out for him in MLB The Show. Real Muto, wow, that's a big hit. I guess he's been kind of like 798 OPS isn't bad. Nobody's upset with him fantasy-wise, but he certainly hasn't been a god either. Gomes loses one. Yachty gets nooched. Stallings loses gold. That's fair. Nola gets nooched. Oof, that's a really interesting update. Those are some major shifts. They did a card overhaul here, and it ends up with a nooch. This one's tough, man. He's been close a couple times. Narvaez has. We just can't time his hot streak to when we need it, which is, right as we're going into an update. I think I had him for gold 2 updates ago. No, I had 79.5. It was one of those where I'm like, he's so close that I don't know if he'll get it. He didn't get it, and then this update, he was pretty weak. So even with the big clutch boost, it wasn't enough to overcome everything else. Vasquez goes down. Stassi goes way down. He has really hit the skids, unfortunately. Hopefully he's not killing your fantasy team at catcher because it's been tough. Wilson Contreras loses gold. I get, nothing really going well in Chicago these days for the White Sox, or for the Cubs, excuse me. The White Sox are great. So that's not really surprising. I'm going to move Charlotte over here just so you guys can see everything without blocking anything. Pardon me. I don't think it was blocking anything important. Maybe the number there on the bottom guy, but usually I say what it is. Yes, there are some guys. I'll get to the guy that not everyone on the Cubs has been bad, but their last remaining star player, the last guy standing, he's been struggling. Everybody else, these new randos have been popping off, including old Frank, who we'll get to next. I think he's first base listed. Diaz goes up. I swear to God, Diaz should have 48 homers. And the reason is because every time I look, when I do my fantasy pickups, I usually look at the last 7 days and the last 14 days to see who's performing well of late. And I swear to God, every 14-day period I looked at, Elias Diaz had 6 homers. Whatever, it didn't matter. Now, obviously, this is anecdotal and it's not actually true, but it felt like every time I looked, he had 6 homers for the last 2 weeks. Well, if you add up a bunch of 2 weeks with 6 homers, how do you only have 16? I don't understand. But either way, it's actually still a pretty good season for him, and he's at silver, but he's not going to go gold. McCannon goes, James the McCannon goes back down a couple points. Danny Jansen up. Yoel Pozo. Yoel Pozo has been a really interesting catcher for fantasy purposes because he's not really catching that much, which is what you love. If you can ever get non-catching catchers in fantasy, that is a great avenue because first off, they won't have to take the same off days. They don't have to have a day or 2 off every week because they're not getting beat up behind the dish. And 2, they don't get beat up with the foul balls and all the crazy shit that happens to catchers. They just take a fucking beating back there. So he's only catching once a week. Otherwise, he's DHing and mixing in. So he's actually been a pretty interesting fantasy pickup for some batting average behind the dish. I don't really know anything about his future. And as chat points out, Zetter says, like Kiner Falefa. Yeah, his teammate, Kiner Falefa, still had catcher eligibility in Yahoo this year. And so even though he really hasn't been that good, Kiner Falefa, for a catcher, he's been a god. Because how many other catchers have 17 stolen bases and a 265 average? So non-catching catchers are fantasy gold. The best one that you could have next year, I think, would be Dalton Varsho. Because I think he'll catch a little, but they don't like his defense back there. And I think he's going to be a full-time player next year. So consider him for your fantasy. This is an interesting nooching because I thought for a while there he was playing really well. And I thought he would get boosted into bronze. But then he kind of hit the skids before the update. He got hurt by the extra week's time, unfortunately. No new first baseman. We got Vlad just continuing to go up. I think they should just ink him in for +2 every update until he's at 99. In fact, let him go beyond 99. What a god. Max Muncy finally cooled out a little bit, still having a brilliant season. We got 4 Nooches in a row here. Now, here's what I wanted to talk about. Okay, so I had somebody in chat asking about CJ Cron and their position on him. They bought him at about 2,200, and they were like, what do we do? So, I would hold right now. I am nervous about him getting diamond, but he's 1 point away. And after this weekend series, I mentioned this with Marquez, they have a homestand coming up. If he goes off like he did, the only reason he's even in the diamond conversation is because he took full advantage of a home stretch last month, and he was a god. His August was obscene, and he was hitting home and away, but he was really, really taking advantage of Coors Field. So they're about to get another homestand, and if he can take advantage again, it might be there. So for now, I would just hold. Because you don't want to take a loss on this. I would at least let it ride out. Because another thing that can happen too, there's probably going to be a little bit of inflation this weekend with everyone cashing in stubs from investments and an Xbox stub sale. So let the dust settle on Friday when everyone's going to sell because they thought he might go diamond this week. Let all that dust settle, then wait. And then kind of keep an eye on the price over the next few days. If it gets to a point where you can break even and you want to get out, I totally get that. But if you want to hold through this next homestand, I think that's probably the wise move, unless you desperately need the stubs. Because he's right there. And if he just crushes in Coors again, then all of a sudden CJ Cron could be a diamond. Pete Alonso gets nooched. I know there was some hype for him. I didn't quite see it. I really thought he was going to get nooched as well. So this one doesn't really surprise me. Paul Goldschmidt is still Goldschmidt, not quite Diamond Schmidt. I had him at an 83, so I agree with this move. I know some of y'all are probably like, well, come on, why didn't he get more? It's all right. If he continues to hit the way he's been hitting, he's going to go diamond. They've got a good chance to make the playoffs too. Hold your position on Goldschmidt. I'm not going anywhere with mine. I would recommend you do the same. Your choice, of course, but I'm not going anywhere. Votto cools down and loses diamond. Understandable. He's come back to earth. I mean, he was out of his fucking gourd for, what, an entire month there. I mean, he got the lightning, 2 months ago. So it's understandable. He's come back to earth. +2 for Brandon Belt. And all of a sudden, he might be approaching diamond. Now, he's 3 points away. I don't really think he's going to get there. But if he hadn't gotten hurt, I wonder what would have happened. Because he only has 285 at-bats because he missed time. But 24 homers in that time. Big power surge for Belt this year. Abreu gets +1. They're going to make the playoffs as well. I had him for a +2, but he's a good diamond playoff candidate because obviously, again, they're guaranteed to go to the playoffs. In fact, they might have even clinched, but they'd have to lose like every game the rest of the way to not go to the playoffs if they haven't already clinched a spot. And we know how hot he can get. So I'm not the biggest Abreu fan because he doesn't have prototypical first base power. But he does have a lot of batting average, and if he starts popping off against righties with the batting average, that could be the big key for him. So I have a few Jose Abreu's right now. I'm going to hold, but I'm going to monitor him closely, and if he starts to turn up, I'm jumping in. Josh Bell gets a fat +3, and all of a sudden he's back at gold. It was looking disastrous for him earlier in the year. Like, oh my God, what was it, the 2019 season? It was looking like a stone cold fluke, and maybe this guy's just not that good. Excuse me. That's why they play all the games, okay? That's why you don't just go off of a couple months and say that that's who somebody is. Because over the course of the season, Josh Bell's really gotten back on track, and he's played like a nice solid gold for a while. Mountcastle goes up. Love to see that. He's a very bright spot in Baltimore's future. They're starting to put some things together. They're laying a little bit of a foundation. I think next year, they could be this year's Tigers, meaning they might have one bad month that kind of takes them out of playoff contention. It might be April the way it was with the Tigers, but I'm saying like they're not necessarily going to be contenders, but they're going to start to cause some havoc the way the Tigers are. I think the Tigers have the 3rd best record against playoff contenders this year in all of baseball, and I think the Orioles are starting to put their pieces together. If they get some pitching to come up, Grayson Rodriguez, DL Hall, then all of a sudden. And, of course, Adley's going to be up next year, too. So keep an eye on those O's. Jared Walsh moving back up. Remember when he was knocking on the door of diamond, but his verse lefty numbers were just too scant to move him up? He's not going to go diamond this year, but still had a brilliant year. I'm still very happy with him. This was one of my big fantasy recommendations of the year. I got him on like every team. Not quite every team, but you know what I mean. I got him on most of my teams. Love what Jared Walsh did. Still a brilliant season, even though the summer was a little bumpy for him. Scope finally position changes over to first. He's been playing a lot there. Aguilar gets neutred. You can sell Aguilar because he's hurt and probably not coming back this year, so that's unfortunate. Another guy who I really liked in fantasy, I actually have Walsh and Aguilar on my main event team, so not terribly surprising that those two pieces, along with some other guys who've really hit big this year as cheap players. No, I guess it's not terribly surprising that I'm doing pretty well in that league. Aguilar's been a big part of that. 87 ribbies. I could have never envisioned that he was going to drive in 87 runs. But like I said, his season is effectively over. So if you were on a hold for gold train with Aguilar, you can move off that position. Darren Ruff gets neutred. I thought he could actually put himself into gold. So this was just a flat miss for me. The power versus righties goes way down. I guess I didn't dig into the splits well enough. I just saw the whole numbers. What did I put for my note on Ruff? Yeah, I was looking at his 938 OPS for the whole period, 943 for the whole year, 15 homers. I thought he could get something. In fact, he ends up getting nothing. And this tells me, first off, that the -9 versus righties power really hurt, because 5, 3, 2, and 5, that's really healthy. That would have probably moved him to a 79, if not an 80. But then they hit the power against righties, and it totally canceled everything out. So that's a tough one there. There's the Cubs' bright spot right now. Frank Schwindel. This guy's been out of his fucking mind. Like, you can't get this guy out right now. He gets a fat +6, and he deserves every bit of it. Go off, Frank Schwindel. Zimmerman Nooch. Dahlbeck gets a healthy boost, too. Speaking of youngsters who've been popping off, this guy's been freaking going crazy as well. Now, he's super volatile, though. So, and he's 4 points away. I would not invest in Dahlbeck as a hold for gold. I love the raw power, but he strikes out a ton. He's super volatile. And, in fairness, like, it doesn't work this way to a T where, somebody gets hot, then they're going to be due for a cold spell. The concept of being due in baseball is one that does not follow statistical rules. Like, there is no such thing of like, if you've been hitting 400 for 2 weeks, that you're definitely going to hit 200 for 2 weeks after that. From a statistical standpoint, like, the mathematics says that that's not exactly how it goes. But in baseball, that's how it goes. So, like, I get the math reasons against saying things like that, but 100+ years of baseball kind of proving that that's how it goes. Can we not use that? Anyway, I'm off on a tangent. Bobby Dahlbeck deserved a big fat upgrade here to silver. Let's hope he can hold it the rest of the way. Actually, it doesn't matter, because if you invested, you can sell now and you don't have to worry about where he finishes. Sheets is back, gets a little +1. Bradley was surging there for a while. He really hit the skids, unfortunately. I thought he could actually challenge silver by the end of the year, but he just went ice cold. Second baseman, no one new ones. Turner moves over to second base, doesn't do anything for his rating. +1 for Semien. He's back on fire again. This is a miss for me, okay? I'll eat this one, y'all. I did not think he was going to get there. I was concerned that he would get nooched. I talked about him, I put him on the sheet. I talked about him in the roster update video because I knew people would have questions about him. I thought he was going to get nooched because he was only hitting .234 against righties. But they didn't hit that because he is still at 51. So, sorry, I had a dog hair in my mouth. That's the downside of having two dogs. But that was my concern with Albies. I got that one wrong. I think Shar got it right. I still think that she has somebody on the inside at SDS that she's not giving up, because I just don't know how she gets everything right. Are you cheating? Are you getting the answers fed to you? She's like, shut up, stick boy. Do your little update. She bullies me, y'all. She's 9 pounds, but she bullies me, man. It's rude. Anyway, apparently she had Albies. Whatever, guys. What the frick ever. Altuve down 1, Baez up 1. Baez knocking on the door all of a sudden again. And if the Mets make the playoffs, you gotta at least have him on your radar. Now, this is another volatile profile that I'm reluctant to invest in heavily, But whenever somebody's 1 point away, you at least have to pay attention. You can't just ignore it because you don't like the player. If he stays hot, he could definitely finish diamond. This is another similar situation, except he's not as volatile as Segura. As Baez. He's also not as skilled though. 29 homers to 12. So it's like they're similar in that they're both 84s who could definitely get in the playoffs and then give themselves extra time to get to diamond. But the way they go about things is way different. Between the two, I'd probably be more willing to bet on Baez, even though his profile volatility scares me with all the strikeouts, just because Segura, I don't want to say he's maxed out on contact. I mean, you see he only has a 77 against righties. If he hits like 400 against them for the playoffs, he would get boosted. But I think he's kind of maxed unless he hits a weird power surge. Baez has multiple avenues. I mean, he could stop striking out for October if they make the playoffs. I mean, it would be unlikely, but he could. Both contacts could still get boosted. There's power growth because he does have, 40 homer power over a full season. So between the two, I would invest in Baez more. I wouldn't really dive headfirst into either right now, though, to be honest. Colton Wong gets nooched, and he's actually kind of a lesser Segura for me in that, yeah, there's things that can get updated, but he's not a big power guy. I don't really see a big surge anywhere. They're going to make the playoffs, but he's also 2 points away. So I would be disinterested in investing in Colton Wong right now. I would rank them Baez, Segura, Wong for sure. And I know that it's not too fair to compare the two because they're a point apart. I'm just saying that they have similar profiles. Polanco gets a position change over to second base from shortstop and a nice little update. He goes up to an 82. Not going to be enough time for him to go to diamond, but you can't get this guy out in the second half, that's for sure. Brandon Lau gets nooched. Frazier shouldn't be gold anymore. I'm just going to say it. Why is he still gold? His defense is why. David Fletcher lost his gold status. Abraham Toro +1. He could get there by season's end. He might be an interesting one. If he's base price, if he is somewhere around 100 for buy now, I could see as a long shot. This is not a full-throated endorsement of Toro. Let me be clear. But he's only 2 points away. He's been amazing in the second half. What's his OPS? Oh, actually, you know what? Amazing overstates it. He's actually been really rotten in September. Forget everything I said. I'm out. Sorry. Didn't realize that it was that bad. Merrifield down 1. He's been up and down. He's just kind of living in that silver realm. Our boy Josh Rojas really disappointed us. I thought he was going to get it last update. As y'all well know, I was very, very heavily invested in him. I still have over 100. I'm going to hold, but I'm not buying anymore. Because he basically needs to surge to the finish line to get there because Arizona's obviously not going anywhere. And he needs 3 points. So it's not going to happen. I'm just going to hold mine because I bought them so cheaply that it won't hurt me to hold. But if you can get out at a profit or at even and you need the stubs, go ahead and do it because it's a long shot at this point. Brendan Rodgers gets +1. Cesar Hernandez loses 1. Wilmer, Torres, and Chisholm nooch. These are just position changes. That tops now Jazz Chisholm looks amazing, by the way. Lurie goes up. B. Millie goes up. Man, B. Millie, I think they just want him to be a perma bronze. And I only had him going to a 74, so I'm not beefing here or anything. I do think +1 is a little light for as well as he's been hitting, but I guess he hasn't been doing shit against lefties. I got to be truthful. I didn't look at his full splits. I was looking at his composite numbers. I didn't check the righty-lefty well enough. I don't think anybody was investing in him. I'm not, worried that I led somebody astray here because I only had him going to a 74 anyway, and you should really only be investing in level changes. So it's not the end of the world. But I swear he's a perma bronze. And then his best cards are always going to be the specialty cards that he gets. But at least he's good for a couple big runs every year to keep those specialty cards coming. We got the Player of the Month flashback early in the year, which was awesome, just in case he didn't do anything this year. But then he said, no, I'm going to go off again. And then he got a Tops Now. Brad Miller cards are godly. You should use them always. Unless you're playing me, don't do that. Luis Garcia loses 1 with the position change. That's interesting. So he went from shortstop to second base and lost? I would have thought moving from the harder position, like moving down the defensive scale, I would have thought that that would help. I'm a little confused by that, but whatever. Like, it doesn't change anything. That's more of like me trying to figure out the scaling there. Mateo gets +1. That's a healthy upgrade to only get +1. I know that he lost 5 against contact against righties there, but that's interesting that this only nets +1. You would think that this would net a little bit more than that, even with the negative that he got. Yanni Hernandez has been going crazy, stealing bases, helping people win fantasy leagues. He gets a nice healthy boost. Max Schrock, he's got that big tops now for him. And Kyle Farmer has a player of the month. Do I have that right? I think so. And then Miller and Clement, big deal. Any new second baseman? No. Any new third baseman? No. Ramirez goes up. Ramirez and Arenado are nooched. Machado down. Devers nooched. Escobar +1. Bregman +1. So, looking at these guys, we got some playoff contenders here. Devers got a big, a sweeping update here. A lot of -3s. Ends up being nooched. He's good enough to go off and have a big enough playoff to get diamond. I don't think you really need to invest right now, though. He's probably around base price, so you can kind of put him on your radar, but you don't have to start investing. Honestly, I kind of like Escobar more. No. I take that back. Devers is such a better hitter. He's such a better hitter. Anyway, these are just 3 guys to have on your radar. I don't think you need to invest in any of the 3, but I will say that come October, I could see any one of them going off and doing enough to get diamond, especially if they finish strong too. If they finish with like a 400 OPS in the next 2 weeks and then have to do it all in October, I don't like that. But if they have a good period, this update period for the final update of the regular season, and then a big October, I could see any one of those 3 going. Donaldson nooched. Longoria gets back. Longoria was not on my radar. This looks like a catch-up card right here for sure. Meaning they focused more on his full season to kind of get him back to where he needed to be. And I'm okay with that because he just got off the IL pretty recently, no? So I'm fine with that, even though it's a miss for me. I didn't have him on my radar at all. Now, since coming back, he came back September 3rd. He has an 1156 OPS with 3 homers. I mean, maybe it is just based off of... To get +11 and +10, you can't just do that off of 42 plate appearances. This is a get right, and that's cool because he's been playing like a gold. I think I had him for gold several updates ago because, like I said, he did get hurt. When did I have Longo on my sheet? Was it... I think it was like roster update number 6, maybe. I can't even remember when I had Longo, but there was definitely one where I was like, oh, I like Longo to get boosted, and then he didn't really get boosted all the way up, and then got hurt right after that, and it was like, well, that sucks because this is going to, kind of reset everything for a while. But to their credit, they decided to go ahead and do a makeup on him, and he belongs in gold. He's been a god this year. I love Longo too, man. I just always liked rooting for him when he was with Tampa Bay, and to see him kind of find the fountain of youth with that San Francisco team has been fun. He's easy to root for. Seems like a good dude too. -1 for Turner. Moose gets a position change, which gets him a +1. He's been pretty icy, though, so he's not going anywhere. I would not hold for gold there. McMahon, Chapman, Riley, Wisdom. Interesting 4-pack here. Chapman. Did I have Chapman going this time? Or was that last time? I think that was last update that I had him. Yeah, last update I had him going, and he got nooched. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll go fuck myself. And I think I had him going +1 this period because his power was huge, but he was killing lefties and struggling against righties. So he was just reinforcing the same platoon. And then the big killers at his clutch went way down. If that hadn't happened, he probably would have had the +1 that I predicted. But instead, he ends up getting nuked, which, tough scene there. It's been a rough season for him, for sure. Riley continues to disappoint because he can't fix that platoon issue. He dominates righties, and he's just not that good against lefties. The only way he's going to go gold, or the main way that he's going to go gold, in my opinion, is to fix that. So he's going to have to crush lefties in the playoffs or in the rest of the regular season, and then he could still go gold. So if you're in on him, hold, but don't necessarily buy a ton more unless you start to see some homers against lefties. P. Wizzy gets nooched with a decent upgrade there for his power, which he deserved, but then the contact came down because he is only hitting 239, so I get it. Mondesi gets a position change from short to third and loses one. So again, leaving shortstop is hurting these guys, and I'm a little confused by that because that's the toughest position. So I think that would have the most strict thresholds, and that moving to second, third, or first, I would think that would help. So I'm a little confused by that, but whatever. We're not worried about Mondesi as an investment anyway. He's just not playing enough. Wendell down. Urias back up, +1. Urias could be a hold for gold. You would need to see a little streak, though, the rest of the regular season before investing. So don't jump in prematurely there. Big update for VR. He's been on fire lately, finishing strong. Cabrizi goes down, but does get a hot tops now. Culberson, Candelario, and Alberto Nuge. We talked about Candelario in my Twitch chat before I started this. I don't understand who he pissed off over at SDS. You see a pretty healthy update here in terms of a lot of things got adjusted, and the -7 and 2 -6s really hurt. I don't know how he hasn't gotten out of silver at all this year, though. Like, he's having a good season. He's at a 799 OPS for the year. So it says 797. That's when the update stopped. So when he added 2 points the last 2 days or whatever. 808 against righties, 773 against lefties. So pretty balanced. And I know that a 799 OPS is not like eye popping. I understand that. I'm not asking for gold. I'm asking for silver. He has a MLB best 40 doubles, 273 average, which is pretty good. The discipline, I guess, hurts. Where's his discipline right now? Or what's his walk rate at? I just don't understand how he's not a bronze. Like, it's not the end of the world. Or, I mean, a silver. He is a bronze. He's staying bronze. Okay, here's an interesting one. His walk rate, 2019 was 11%. Last year was 10%. This year is 10%. Why is it going down? Just leave it at 78. Get Candelario to silver. I don't know. I don't like that. I don't really get it. I don't really get it. Edmund has 39 doubles. Candelario leads baseball with 40. But anyway, again, these are like little nitpicks. I'm not losing my mind. I am a Tigers fan, so you can call me a homer if you want. But I didn't even bring it up. My boy Shreen brought it up. I agree with him, though. I think Candelario should at least be bronze. Carter Keyboom gets +3. He's been tearing the cover off the ball. He just started so low that it's hard for him to really move. Mayfield, position change. Tsutsugo goes up. He got a tops now 2 updates ago. That was really good. And then whatever here. No new third baseman. Eddie Alvarez is a new shortstop. Tatis, just like Bichette, or not Bichette, like Vlad earlier, is on every update. Now, he didn't go up. He got nooshed, but it seems like every update something's happening because he's always in the mix. Position change here for Cronenworth. Okay, so here's what I don't get. And this is just, again, we're doing a few nitpicks, okay? Because we're not deep diving every player the way we normally do because there's only one more update. So we can take a little detour here. If you move Cronenworth to shortstop because he's been playing there more, I get that. I respect that. That move makes sense to me. Why didn't Tatis move to the outfield then? Right? Either don't move Cronenworth. Now, he's been hurt all week too, by the way, so Tatis has been back at short. But if you were going to move Cronenworth, Wouldn't you then move Tatis? I don't know. Again, it's not moving the needle on anything. Maybe as a right fielder, he would be a 97, which would be cool. But, I mean, he's a god regardless. You're either using him or not. Nothing's really going to change just because he's a right fielder. And they did give him the secondaries. But I'm just saying, if you're going to move Cronenworth's primary, wouldn't you also move Tatis's? I'm just asking questions. Bichette goes up to Diamond. I did not have this one. Charlotte might have had this one over me. I will give her that. I missed Bichette. I'm sorry. Crawford gets nooched. That's all right. He's Diamond. That's all we needed from him. +1 for Story. I don't think there'll be enough time for him to return to Diamond. Come here, you little dweeb. Unless he just goes absolutely bananas on that last homestand that they've got, or that upcoming homestand that they got. I don't know if it's their last one or not. But unless he goes crazy at home and hits like, I don't know, 6 or 7 more homers the rest of the year. That's a lot, but that's what it would take. Did you have Bichette going Diamond? Of course I did. I'm not a stupid idiot. Why do you guys ever listen to my dad? He's so stupid. Man. Fuck that dog. Always talking shit. I never see her doing any work, okay? I never see any work going in, and she magically gets everything right. Don't think so. Oh, and she's bragging about Max Fried. I had Max Fried last time, okay? I got robbed last time, and I'm counting it for this time, okay? I'm tired of getting bullied by my dog. She's a little shit. Tim Anderson only gets nooched, but they're going to make the playoffs. We know how hot he can get. Keep him firmly on your radar. You don't have to invest yet. Just keep him firmly on your radar. If he ended the year Diamond, nobody would be surprised. He's only 2 points away. A big playoff would definitely do it. He's got to get his power back on track. Just keep a close eye on him. That's all I'm saying there. Seager down. Wandeezy goes up. He's just been awesome. And, you know, we've talked about this a few times, so I won't go too deep on this because just totally repeating myself. But they brought him in as a gold the same way they did with Vlad. And I know that's jarring for some people when they see a brand new rookie card at gold already. It's like, wow, he didn't even play in the majors. Again, they took a gamble on two of the most transcendent prospects we've seen in baseball. Like Vlad, we're now seeing why. Now, he took a couple years to get going, but that is why they brought him in as a gold. That is why he was going in like the 3rd round of fantasy drafts before he was even playing. Like, people were that hot on Vlad. Same with Franco. He comes in as a gold. He starts off, didn't go too well, goes down to silver, finds his footing very quickly, by the way. He didn't take long. A couple weeks in, all of a sudden he was putting up like a 40-something game on base streak or whatever it was. But this is why. And so I think they're justified in what they did there, and I hope they continue to do that with guys who are transcendent prospects, to not be afraid to bring them in at gold, because one of these guys is going to like hit the ground running immediately. They're going to be the Juan Soto, where as soon as they get to the majors, they're awesome, and SDS is going to have them at gold, and they're going to be like, we knew it. So I think they were justified in bringing Franco in at a gold, and now he is back there as he deserves. Swanson Nooch, doesn't matter, we got gold last time. Nicky Lopez gets there, let's go. Now, last time, we talked about his stolen base capability, and I actually didn't have him going gold last time. I had him going up to a 79. I just didn't know it was going to depend on how much his speed and stolen base rating got upgraded. Well, remember when the update first came out, I got Char smudged my glasses. She's sabotaging me. When the update first came out, his stolen base rating went down, and I was like, wait, what? This dude stole 8 bases in a week. Well, they corrected it. So it was all good, but it only moved him up to a 79, which was fine. That's what I was projecting anyway. However, he started hitting, because the last update period, it was all based on the stolen bases and a little decent hitting, but nothing crazy. This time, it was because he's been a stone cold quality hitter. And credit to him. And I don't know if you guys saw this tweet from Foolish Baseball. And I think sometimes he likes to like throw a Molotov cocktail out on Twitter and then just run away and let it take hold. Because he tweeted out how Nicky Lopez has more Fangraphs WAR than Mookie Betts. And I don't think that he's making any sort of statement with that. He's like letting the people that lose their shit over war lose their shit over war, and for others like myself, he's like, it prompts me to be like, oh, that's interesting. I want to see why that is, and the reason that is because of his defense and base running. They've been really good this year. So he's at 4.2 WAR and Mookie's at 3.8. But it's just funny when he just kind of drops those bombs and then leaves the room. But Nicky Lopez, deserving gold. Lindor gets Nooch. They don't have one for trash talking, or else that might have gone up. This one's a bummer, y'all. Adames is on the IL, and, you know, he's probably not going to make that diamond run unless he does it in the playoffs. I mean, he was 5 points away anyway. It was not likely to happen, but he was so electric for like 2 months when he first got to Milwaukee that it was worth at least talking about. Kiner Falefa, I mentioned him earlier. I'm actually surprised he's maintained gold. It's because of his defense for sure, but he's been a dreadful hitter now for a couple months. Rojas gets +1. He's knocking on the door. I think I had him for gold 2 updates ago, and I guess he could still get there with a strong finish since he is 1 away, so keep an eye on that. Rosario gets nooched. Again, 1 point away. You have to keep him on your radar just because, you know, when you're that close, it doesn't take much to possibly push into gold. How about our boy Thairo Estrada, dude? The reason I care about this, or the reason I've had him on my mind so firmly this year is because when TA3 was coming out, there was a handful of commons that I was like, guys, this is a way to do your trade-ins very easily. And the guys we highlighted were Anthony Bender, my reliever for Miami, his teammate Lamont Wade Jr., Estrada, Gavin Sheets, and Nestor Cortez Jr. How about Estrada and Cortez? Both of them popping off since then and just becoming like legit good players. Estrada now at a firm silver with gold potential. Now, I don't think he's going to make gold. He'd have to have a pretty strong playoff to get there, but the fact that he's even in contention for it is pretty impressive. And it's a microcosm of what the Giants have done this year. Like, yeah, they have some bona fide stars. They got an ace in Gosman, an emerging ace in Webb, and, you know, they've got Posey doing his thing. Even that's crazy, though. Posey doing his thing, coming back after the year miss. We talked about Longoria earlier. They've got some good foundational players, but it's these middle pieces that have really made their season what it is. With Wade, with Darren Ruff, with Thairo Estrada, with Tyler Rogers, Anthony Desclafani finding a new level. Alex Wood, I know he's on the IL right now, same with Cueto, but they've both been really good. Just a crazy season. But anyway, big ups to Thairo Estrada, man. What a season he's having. Well deserved to get him to silver. By the way, speaking of Nestor, I think I had him for an upgrade and he didn't get shit. Yeah, I had him going silver. He didn't even get anything, huh? I don't remember him on either list. That's a bummer. That's a big bummer there. Paul DeJong goes down. He's had a dreadful season. Position change gets Newman to silver. So again, I have the wrong estimation of shortstop because this is going from second to short, and he goes up. And I would have thought moving higher on the defensive spectrum would put a bigger burden on your numbers, and it's not. So whatever. But anyway, good on him. Oh, Charlotte left and Henry's following. Henry's just got to be in the mix, man. If someone leaves the room, he's got to see him. He's got to see what's going on. And Mundo Sosa, I mentioned how dreadful Paul DeJong's been this year. Sosa has come in and picked up the slack big time. I had him at a 74. I didn't know if he'd get a full 4 points, but they gave him a healthy boost. Got him into silver. And hey, if you invested in this one, nice little silver micro investment there for you. Escobar, Wade, Castro, and Alcantara go up a bit, but nothing really to see there as far as like future investments. Seth Beer is the new left fielder, comes in as a bronze. Honestly, I think they I think they could have taken like 10 points off of both of his contacts. I know he's hitting 444. We're not putting any stock into that. But in terms of like judging what he is as a player and using his minor league numbers, they could have taken like 7 to 10 points off of each of his contacts and given it to power, because he's got big boy power, but he has a lot of swing and miss. And I think that these numbers will start to balance out the way I'm saying, where the contacts will come down and the powers will go up. But he also got a big Tops Now card that looks pretty spicy, so keep an eye on that. Now this is where the clutch rating situation burned us, because I had Tyler O'Neill going diamond, and I was pretty confident in it too. If I was ranking my 5 diamonds, Grandal, Ray were light years above everybody. They were lock as lock can get. I was pretty strong on Tucker, Musgrove. O'Neill was my 5th rated, but it was still pretty firm. Usually when I have 5 new diamonds, the guy at the bottom is like, he might not. But I was still pretty strong on him, especially because he hit another home run after I did my predictions, and it still counted for the update. So I was like, oh, he's gonna go. But he loses 7 in clutch. And I was like, okay, well, let me see. Did they just keep him on a diamond artificially, or did he really deserve the hit? He deserved the hit, y'all. He has a 709 OPS with runners in scoring position. That's really bad. 210, 271, 439 is his slash line. That's really tough. And because they were doing a clutch update across the league, I totally get it. If they had like singled him out, or if he was one of just a few players to get a clutch move, I would have said that was kind of sneaky. But because they were doing it for so many guys, it makes sense. It's fair. That said, I would not jump off here. He's in one of his hot streaks right now. He still has the rest of the season and then maybe the playoffs. I think you hold your Tyler O'Neills right now and just monitor him very closely. Stanton gets nooched. Schwarber up 2. Hayes gets to gold. Let's go. Hayes and Mountcastle. That's another piece. I didn't say him earlier on purpose when I was talking about the guys that they're going to have in their foundation, because I knew we would get to him when we came to left field. You got to get that OBP up over 300. A sub 300 OBP is really freaking bad, but the power's really coming together, and he's having a nice little season here for the O's. Pollock down 1. Duvall nooched. Gallo nooched. Or no, -1, excuse me. Rosarena nooched. Gurriel goes up. Let's go. Gurriel, man, this is another one of my favorites this year that I have everywhere I can in fantasy. And for the beginning of the year, he was really bad. Like, the first couple months were terrible. But he really started to turn the corner in late May, early June. He's been pretty sharp since then, but then really hit another level during this update period that kind of made him a lock for gold, in my opinion. He had a 1204 OPS. And if you look since July 1st, he's at 927 OPS with 10 homers. So I had Alcantara as my number 1 gold, but Gurriel was number 2. So he was pretty much a lock for me. I didn't see any way that he wasn't going to go. Alvarez gets nooched. Connor Joe gets a position change and an upgrade. Goes up 1. Again, these Colorado guys, they have a homestand left, so they could still go. I have a little handful of Connor Joes. I'm just going to hang on to them just to see what's what. Didn't cost me much, so I'm not going to be worried about getting those stubs back. If he doesn't go, no problem. I'll exchange them or put him into a team affinity thing, whatever. But I'm just going to sit here and hold with my Connor Joe. +1 for Ben Attendee. I don't know, man. I feel like every time he gets going and it looks like, oh, he might get gold, he hits a cold slump. So forget that. Okay, now this one, I'm a stupid idiot, I guess. Okay. I actually had Rosario going gold. It's always jarring and a straight up kick in the ween when you have somebody going up a level and they get downgraded. It's like, oh, I misread that pretty badly. So I'm going to go in here. I want to see how I got this one so completely wrong, because clearly I did. And it might have been what I did with, who was I talking about earlier, that I didn't quite look at their splits. And maybe that's why. So we'll go from August 25th to September 14th. And he has an 840. Okay, hang on. So my notes on Rosario said 292 average versus, okay, so my stats are completely off here. did I do this on the weekend or something? I'm just dead wrong. I'm just flat out. Oh, no. Wow, this is crazy. So, one day from the 13th to the 14th took his verse righty numbers from a 292 average and 1065 OPS down to 259 and 973. That's like an 0 for 4 or 0 for 5. So it completely fucked his numbers there. Now, I wasn't thinking that he was going to get hit against lefties because he only had 9 plate appearances. So I thought that they would leave him alone there, and that's probably why. And he also lost in clutch. So either way, I was wrong. I'll eat it. Fat L for me. I'm an idiot. Connor Joe's on the IL according to my chat, so then do not worry about him. You can sell or exchange yours then because, yeah, he is on the IL. Pardon me on that one. He's not going anywhere then. And apparently Charlotte had Rosario getting downgraded. Good for you. You also lick an ottoman like 24/7. So I don't really want to hear it from old Licky Lou over here. Hey, Char. What do you say to me, stick boy? Stop calling me stick boy on stream. Okay, don't be such a stick boy then, stick boy. Jimenez gets hammered. -3 for him. He's gone ice cold. Brantley and JD both go down. Now, all three of these guys are, well, these two are guaranteed to make the playoffs. JD has a chance to. They're at least radar guys, and all that means is just keep an eye on them. So what I'm going to end up doing with radar, what I end up doing with radar guys is I make a custom leaderboard at Fangraphs of guys that I'm just keeping on my watch list. They're always like 77, 78, 79 guys, and that way I can click on that, and it just gives me their last 2 weeks with the set guys that I picked. So I'll put all three of these guys on my watch list, but I'm not super hopeful on any of them right now. They really have to turn things around. Harold Ramirez gets a position change. McNeil down. Yelly loses 3 more. Yelly and Belly, man. It's a race to the bottom with those two. Dreadful seasons for both. Tyrone Taylor position change. Tapia -2. Our boy Wade. Okay, so he did get some love, but he's just been so useless against lefties that it wasn't enough to get him silver. I'm surprised by this. +15 against in clutch is not enough to offset those negatives. So again, he must have been a low 74 for all of this to leave him at 74, which it's fine. I had him going up to a 75. I'm not losing sleep over a missed bronze to silver prediction. Actually, I had him going 76, so I'm a piece of shit. But anyway, I knew that he had a big platoon split. Like, this is not surprising to me. I just didn't think it would hurt him as much because he doesn't really play against lefties. So I thought that they would give him his love against righties and kind of leave him alone against lefties. Turns out I was wrong. Mercado and Moore go down. Aquino, Profar down. Adele up 3. Big deal. That's a healthy boost, but he's just so low that you can't really do anything. And then Beer was the one that went up. Or the new one. No new center fielders and no new right fielders, so we don't have to check new guys anymore. The Martes, a little Marte party at the top with them both now at 87. Mullins gets another point. I think I had him going 87 as well. I'll take 86. I just wanted to give him some love there. Springer gets nooched. He's back on the IL, isn't he? Or didn't he get hurt? I don't know if he went back on the IL or not, but I know that he's dinged again at least. No, he's not on the IL. He's not on the IL. But either way, I mean, he's a diamond. We're good. We don't really need to worry about him going any higher as long as he's a diamond. Brian Reynolds gets nooched. Lou Bob knocking on the diamond door. I think his price will probably start going up. Everyone's going to start to get on board now that he's close. If you have shares, obviously hold them. If you don't, depends on the price whether or not you should get in. Grisham loses 2. I think his diamond chatter is officially dead. I was never super keen on him going diamond. I know the market was, you had to at least be concerned about it, or at least talk about it because he was an 84. Like, I totally get that. I'm not trying to roast anybody for talking about it, but push come to shove, he always came up short for me. And now as an 82, he's just not going to go unless he has just the craziest October ever. If they make it. They're not even guaranteed to make it. +1 for Nimmo. He could go gold, but I don't know. I think we need to see a power surge. Taylor loses his. He's been ice cold lately. He went gold for us once, made us a bunch of stubs. He could get hot again and return to gold. I would not invest in it, but it is possible. Hampson up 1. Kane, Naquin, and Fraley get nooched. Of the 4, none of them really stand out to me, to be honest. I mean, this was only a position change. These guys got nooched with some healthy overhauls. Yeah, I wouldn't really invest in any of them, to be honest. Cody Bellinger, I mentioned earlier, Belly and Yelly, it's a race to the bottom. Tough scene for both. Slater nooched, Pilar down. Hilliard and Peterson nooched. Some upgrades here, but nothing too crazy. I know Hap's been hitting well. Finally, because he was dreadful for most of the year. Lagares, Martin, big deal. And none of this really doing too much. Big updates for Derek Hill. Love to see it as a Tigers fan. It's not moving the fantasy or it's not moving the investment needle, that's for sure. Oliveras up 3. DJ Peters gets some healthy power updates as he deserved. Brian De La Cruz has been out of his mind lately. Jake Myers +1, and then Alfred Nooch. Alfred Nooch is kind of tough, man. He's been hitting the cover off the ball. I didn't have him for an update, so I'm not bugging on that. I just thought his power would have been enough to actually get an update, but I guess his vision's been fucking awful. He's striking out almost 50% of the time. What the hell? Did you see those strikeouts? Let me see that. 43 strikeouts. How many plate appearances does he have total? 44% strikeout rate. Holy crap, dude. Oh my God. That is vile. That's gross. Anyway, finishing up with right fielders. Judge goes into the 90s. Betts gets nooched. Soto can't get over 90. I don't understand that. I feel like he should have been over 90 along. Same with Harper. Well, I guess Harper's had a big platoon split, so that makes sense for Harper, but I don't understand why Soto's still an 89. It doesn't matter. Again, going 90 actually hurts us because then it's less likely that we would get Trout with our 90-plus pack. Tasker nooched. Tucker goes diamond. This one was a pretty solid one. It was pretty clear that he was going to go. He had an excellent period. 1417 OPS against lefties, 1050 against righties this update period. So he was pretty much a lock. Our boy Avi gets nooched. Hey, this is not too bad. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the mic there. This isn't too bad, all things considered. Now, I know he's been day-to-day. I don't think he's on the IL. But I know he's been day-to-day with injury. And obviously, he has to get healthy before we worry about anything. But remember, I had him for a diamond 2 updates ago. It was a big call, for sure. But he ended up going 84. The fact that he's staying here at 84, though, keeps him firmly on the radar. I'm not going to sell my Avies. I'm going to hang on because he's going to get the playoffs as well. As long as he returns healthy, there's still a chance. So, hold your Avies. Renfroe nooched, but that's a pretty nice upgrade. I guess he was a very low 83. Castellanos +1. You know he can go diamond if he gets hot. He can even go diamond before the season ends, to be honest. He doesn't even necessarily need the playoffs. That's the kind of bat that he is. So he's back on the radar, that's for sure. Haniger nooched. Adelise should not still be gold, personally. I'm not mad about it or anything. I'm just saying he's been so bad for most of the summer that he should be out of gold. Cruz nooched. Blackman and Reyes down. Wait. This is exactly why I don't do Reyes to gold anymore. Because I had this MF going up 1 and he loses 2. He had a 10-12 OPS and 6 homers this update period. I thought that would at least get a little something. But they're like, nah, his contact's dog shit. Let's hammer him. But no, I am out of the Franmil Reyes to gold business. I have been pretty much all year because of all the taunting of previous years. Okay, I'm confused. Why he lost 8? Okay, hang on. This might be a catch-up. Situation here. Because based on the update period in question, he should not have lost 8 contact against lefties. Okay, he's hitting 252 against them for the year, but hit 313 in the last update period. So this is one of those ones where, like, I know they don't have to go through and like give notes on every player. That'd be insane. That'd be way too much to ask. So we have to infer things. My inference here is that this is definitely a catch-up call, because there's no way he deserved -8 based on this period specifically. But this is why I'm out of the Reyes game, dude. I can't do it. I have him going up. They have him going down. He taunts us. Honestly, it's better that he's a silver because it keeps him as a BR god. So it's better this way. It's better. Seth Breezy gets nooched. Ortega gets nooched. Soler gets +1. Zimmer and Ward, they're just position change nooches. Reyes down, McKinney, Sanchez, and Nootbaar. And that will do it. What an update, y'all. Big ups. Hopefully you struck it big. We had a lot that we got right here. Like I said, 4 of my 5 diamonds came through. I did miss on Bichette and Albies, but if you had those, obviously you still cashed in. As far as my golds, Alcantara, Gurriel, Hayes, Suarez, Evaldi, Manoa, Lopez, Jansen, Bell, Wander, Inoa, Trinan all hits. That's 12. That's not bad. 12 out of 20. I never expect to go, 100% on golds. I cast a wide net knowing that that some are going to miss. I'm okay with that because I'm putting them on your radar so that you will invest in them, because obviously if they just miss gold this time, they could still go the next time. And that applies very heavily to Logan Webb, Frankie Montas, Dylan Cease, and Sonny Gray. I would be less inclined on Rosario, Darren Ruff, and Blake Snell because of the injury, not because of his pitching. I think if did he go on the IL, by the way? Yeah, he did. He finally went on the IL. Once he comes off the IL, if they make the playoffs, he becomes back in the gold realm. But for now, I think you can move off your position if you have shares in Snell. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate y'all watching these videos. Twitch.tv/sport if you want to come through on Friday or any point during the weekend. And we still have one more of these in the regular season and then another one after the playoffs. Still plenty of time to make a ton of stubs. Peace.